It's like they're trying to be too meta.
You're gonna make them an offer they can't refuse.
Yeah. You can buy you a drink.
Well, I mean, he did pick out somebody we know.
You sidestep the question. That technology does not exist.
Hey everybody, you're listening to A to Z. Today's guest is Trevor Batson. Trevor is a musician, martial artist, and a personal trainer. We talked about all those subjects, but we also got deep off into some politics and why you should get off your lazy ass. Let's get on.
Hey everybody, what's up? I'm Aaron.
And I'm Zach.
If this is the first time that you guys are listening, thanks for checking us out. A to Z is produced sort of weekly, and show notes can be found at atozpodcast.com.
And if you like what you hear, man, feel free to subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcast fix.
You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at A to Z BMT.
Woo! First episode.
Damn, bro, that's exciting.
Hey, I am excited, dude. We've been working on this shit since November, okay?
Yeah.
We did this interview on like November the 29th.
It was like that. It was right after Thanksgiving.
I'm telling you, dude.
That's
like
crazy.
We put out these 2 teaser episodes. That's what we're saying is the first one. We put out.
Yeah.
We've been learning as we go.
In case you guys were confused about this intro.
Yeah, it's a little confusing.
So a lot of you have listened to the first 2 teasers, but this is going to be technically the first episode that we launch with, right? And we couldn't have asked for a better person to launch with because Trevor's my buddy, he's my training partner.
They're both of our buddies, man.
Yeah,
We both know them.
Right.
We actually
Straight
knew
up.
them separately.
Yep.
At the same time, so it's
Small world.
And you know, Trevor's a really, really interesting guy. He has so many different levels to him. He has so many different. He has his hand dip into so many different kind of things.
That's right. Yeah. So he's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. He's a personal trainer. He's a musician, and he's also kind of a political scientist type of guy too.
Stoic warrior poet of Southeast Texas.
So I mean, like, you know, naturally we get into a lot of subjects in this episode.
The thing about this is we had those beta episodes. We've been recording all these things, and we've been learning as we go. We've been trying to set this up, not in a way that we really just want to structure it in a way that you enjoy to listen to it. So if you have any criticisms, if there's something, I guess, editing wise or anything that you don't like, let us know because we want it to be something that you enjoy. And you know,
we're doing this for you guys.
We're doing this for y'all, and we're doing this
we're doing it for us.
We're trying,
but seriously, we're doing it for us. We're doing it because we're bored.
Yeah,
let's get real.
Yeah,
like we're doing it because we're bored.
For sure.
But there's no sense in doing this unless we get all of you guys involved.
Yeah, we want to make this as much of a community thing as we possibly can.
Absolutely. So if you have any sort of notes, if you have things that maybe you heard that we didn't hear that you didn't like, please let us know at any one of our social media outlets. Like, you know, if you want to give us a Facebook review,
Facebook,
great.
Instagram, Twitter at
Instagram,
A2ZBMT.
great.
And then any of the sites wherever you get your podcasts, check us out on that. Enjoy the episode. We love you guys. Thank you. Yeah, we've been rolling for a while.
Oh, wow. Coming right in and see that at the again.
It's rubbing against the
Right, sorry. So, I guess, cool thing to kick it off, I'll tell you my convenience store experience that I just had.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Is it a 7-Eleven now down the road?
You know what's weird is that store has been like a 7-Eleven for 2 years, but they just didn't put the name on it.
It had been a while since I've been there. And I go up, you know, I got my little 6-pack or whatever. I put it on there, pull out my card, and he's like, is that a mobile oil card? I said, yeah. He said, well, we can't take that because, you know, they got some kind of, the mobile oil just doesn't do business with them, I guess. Maybe some kind of scandalous stuff. Who knows? So I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll just go down the road, another store. And guy right next, I'm walking out. He stops me. He said, hey, man, I'll get your 6-pack. I was like, nah, man. Don't worry about it, dude. I'll just go down the road, you know? He's like, nah, man, I got you. He's trying to pay it forward. You're solid, man. You're a cool dude. Thank you, man. That's not what I said. I didn't tell him he was solid. I was like, oh, thanks, man.
Did it make you feel like you're 16 again? Was the stranger buying your 6-pack for you at the convenience store?
No, it was just more like, okay, this is cool.
Wait, like they wouldn't allow you to buy it?
Well, it's because they wouldn't take the card. But
wait, he bought you the 6-pack?
Yeah, just random dude. Habero was his name. No, I'm serious. That was his name. Habero.
He's a believer in karma, I guess.
He was like, you know, looked at my ears and he was like, you wrestle? It's like, yeah. I was like, okay, cool. But yeah, that was my little convenience store. Got paid it forward.
So you got to help out some 16-year-old kid next week or something. Get some
Probably
info.
not.
Yeah, I don't know if that's. I don't know if that translates. You know, that's heavy stuff.
I've done that before. That pay it forward thing. I remember went to the Whataburger over there by Thirsties, and I don't know. I think it was late at night or whatever. I was pulling up. It was pretty packed. And I was in the line and I'd already ordered. And the truck behind me, they were blaring some like shitty country music or whatever. It was like this big jacked up Dodge. He like creeped forward till like he was really fucking close, right? And he got like really close to that back door. It's like a hatchback, so it's like right there. And like I was looking at him, I was like, I turned on my rear windshield wiper. Mm-hmm. And then he started like laying on the horn like he was pissed off or something. I could hear him yelling.
This is like while the lights red.
No, this is at a Whataburger.
Oh, a Whataburger.
So like we were in line. So like,
okay.
So he was behind me in line at the Whataburger, and like I did that just fucking with him, right?
Yeah.
Because he got really, really close. So he starts wailing on the horn like he's pissed off and shit, acting an ass. I thought it was funny, and I got up to the window, and I get my order, and I was like, "Hey, how much is the guy behind me?" And she was like, "Oh, it's like $8 or $9." Like, let me get his too. And she was like, "Okay." It's like that was it. It's like you're gonna be an asshole. That's fine, but I'm gonna make you maybe feel a little bad about it.
That's really awesome.
You know,
that you did that.
Hey man,
really awesome.
It's like, what am I gonna do? Get out of my fucking car and like fight somebody over like getting too close? You know, but I mean, that's
right.
Well, people do that, but yeah.
People,
I mean,
people shoot other people.
Oh yeah, I mean, he probably got some kind of like smug satisfaction out of it, most likely. But I mean, in my mind, that's my fuck you.
No, I bet you fucked. I bet you fucked him up. Like when he pulled up,
maybe he
when
might
he pulled
still
up
think
to that
about
window.
that.
Yeah, I bet you.
He
fucked
might
him
still
up.
maybe still think. Probably not.
I think you're the one that got the smoke satisfaction out of it.
I did. I got a really. I was laughing my ass off.
I promise you fucked him up when he pulled up to that window. She was like, "Sir, your bill's been paid for." Or even better catch if she's like, "It's just $7.25."
She's like, "My money."
Oh, you got cash?
got a bonus tonight. Yeah, Trevor, I wanted to get you in here last night on Wednesday, but you had told me you were recording something.
Mm-hmm.
The Kilowatts got some new stuff coming out.
This is top secret.
Yeah. No.
By the time we put this out, it's probably it's not gonna be news anymore. But still,
Yeah, I mean, it's we're not like super promotional right now. We're basically in the jam rooms, got the drums mic'd, trying to get some good tracks that we're happy with. Then we're gonna throw some guitars over it, throw some vocals.
Who's all in Kilowatts again?
It is myself, Ryan, Chris, and Chris Chain.
Can't even remember your own band names.
George Leonard
George Leonard.
on the drums.
So it's just like a drums, bass, and two guitars. How many else? You and Ryan singing?
Ryan and myself. Yeah, sometimes we get
That's always
George.
that's a good combo.
Yeah, sometimes we get George.
How long y'all been playing together? You and Ryan?
Man,
Was this back in Vortex days?
we were in different bands back then. I want to say it wasn't until after Vortex had. Yeah, it was after the Vortex had shut down that we actually got together with Ryan, as far as myself, George, and Chris. So, over 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
How's Kilowatts like different from like Sour Mash, things like that?
I guess
There's a lot of the same members, right?
Yeah, I guess it's more of a representation at the end of the day of trying to start something new. And, we've kind of been dormant just in the jam rooms, just playing. Enough to where we have, really over a full album's worth of material. So
Y'all record often? Like, is it just y'all doing it? Or
it's been a while, and this whole process has been back and forth with different angles and different approaches. And now we're just doing it the way we're doing it, and we're happy with it. We're getting good sounds. So I think we got, so far we got like 4 or 5 tracks that we're happy with, ready to move forward with, and we got four or five more.
Are y'all planning on doing it all yourself?
Yeah.
You're going to take vocals to the studio? Or
We're going to do most of it in-house, and then possibly look at somebody else getting some ears on it for maybe some mixing or mastering.
Yeah. Well, that's always been kind of like the guideline is record it yourself, that's fine, but have somebody else mix it.
Yeah. And just there's always the newest of the new and the newest whatever's out there, but the technology that's out now, the stuff we have right now isn't even that new.
but it makes it a lot easier for you to do it yourself.
What are y'all using?
Man, I'd be lying.
Like a computer?
No, it's one of Ryan's
It's like
recorders.
a standalone kind of thing?
He's got like a 8-channel
Yeah, I mean,
recorder,
fucking the Beatles did it on 2 4 tracks.
I know, man.
Taped together,
Right, yeah.
Have you seen
that's
that?
kind of what I was getting at. Is like,
Yeah.
we're doing it. We're getting these great sounds.
Well,
out of it. We're
y'all do
you
pretty
know.
like standard, kind of like southern rock, kind of like.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it is definitely rock based.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Loud guitars, not like just me and Ryan in the acoustics.
That last CD that you guys had, Ryan gave it to me for free one night a long time ago when when we had the food truck at Thirsty's. He just gave it to me, and it sat on the shelf for a long time because I'd usually put like Pandora on when I was in Wi-Fi. Until one day we went and did this wedding out past Koontz, some ranch. So there's definitely no Wi-Fi there, and I busted out, unwrapped your CD, and threw it in.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what the kilowatts even were about because I seen some Sour Mash shows, but I didn't know that, and I put it on. I was like, oh dang, this stuff rocks, man! It was awesome. I had it drowned out like the new country that was going outside because it was driving me crazy. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
your CD definitely did the trick. I really enjoyed it. But one question I got too is I don't notice you guys. I mean, I see you and Ryan playing all the time at Thirsty's, right? So it's like a steady thing you guys do. But with the full band, I don't really see y'all around town very much. It seems more to me like y'all are just playing the casinos a lot nowadays.
Y'all play the casinos?
Yeah. Well, we were playing them for a while. We had like.
Y'all do like the cover band thing?
Well,
Y'all play, like,
actually,
covers
we
and-
actually get away with doing like 50-50,
really,
which is
that's that's impressive. Yeah.
Well, yeah, when you could say, I mean, I honestly thought we were going to play it like 2 or 3 times, if that. And they're going to be like, oh, well, we're looking, can you play any, whatever the standard,
Yeah.
because
you
we
need to
do
change,
play some
yeah.
stuff that but, we're not doing Margaritaville,
No.
you know what I'm saying?
If you guys don't play any Journey covers,
Yeah.
we're never hiring you again.
Yeah.
Oh no, they're the casinos are really strict because they can be. You know.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, they're giving you that good money, so.
That's good.
But
payday.
but the
It's-
50-50, like that's pretty big. I mean, y'all are
pretty
doing
rare.
y'all are doing like the rare. Y'all are doing
Yeah.
like the 3-hour sets.
Yeah.
So it's like, you do a 3-hour set, you're probably playing what, 25 to 30 songs
Yeah.
like total.
Roundabout, yeah.
And if you can I've seen so many bands that go out and like and what ends up happening is the songs that are theirs, they play really well, and then the songs that aren't theirs, like the covers, they don't play well, but
Yeah.
everybody wants to hear the covers, and then whenever they're
Yeah.
playing their
Yeah.
own tunes, nobody wants to really listen to them, but to be able to
Right.
actually do that and to keep getting called back is I guess that means something.
We were surprised because we had like a year-long stint that we played once or twice a month out there.
Yeah.
And
Which one?
LaBerge.
LaBerge?
Yeah.
They're doing like Jack Daniels.
It's just like playing anywhere else, really, though. I
But
mean,
you can walk down the hall and
I think
get on
overall,
machines with your pay.
there's just fewer and fewer people that are interested in live music. Like, it doesn't matter really where you go. Like, yeah, you can even play the top, 40s, top 20s, top whatever, pop stuff. But there's still going to be like a smaller amount of people out there on the dance floor.
Do you really feel
know?
that way? Like
Yeah, I think
people
so.
don't
As
care
far
about
as
live
like
music?
live performance, something that's not, I should say, unless it's stuff that they just all know.
So do you,
You
so do you just think there's been like a shift in the way the masses digest their music, right? Is that why?
I think they all look for recognizable.
Because I don't think music, just as an art form is less popular than ever before. It just seems to me,
it's
Yeah, I mean, the music itself is huge,
right.
but I think maybe the maybe the crowding of the market, so to speak.
Like an oversaturation.
Yeah.
well, people.
Well, I mean, in the
people
70s
want
and
to be able to sing along.
Right.
Yeah, back in the 60s and 70s, yeah, you still had your guys playing the other stuff, your popular stuff, but it seems like there was a lot more people that were, at least this is the way it is in my mind, that there was a lot more people involved in actually going out and discovering new music, right, in a live environment.
There was also less genres, too, It wasn't as much of a split. When you and I first met, you were in Sour Mash. And I made like a dumb flyer for you one time. This was like, it's so funny. But
I vaguely remember something like that.
yeah,
Was that when we were living together?
This is back in the grip, man.
We were living together at that time.
yeah, we were living together. At the
Yeah,
time.
that's
This is back
right.
in
I
the
remember
grip.
you making that.
Yeah, I made a bunch. I made a bunch of flyers for people at one time, just whatever, just to have something to do.
Right.
But it was cool, man. I remember that I had just met you. We started jiu-jitsu at the same time, pretty much. I think I was actually there before you were.
Yep.
And he came in.
Wait, you started before Trevor?
Yeah, that's really sad. But yeah, I started before Trevor. And then we became like fast friends, man. I don't know what it was, but something between you and I just like clicked. We became Matt boyfriends and all that. But
yeah, dude, we used to have some epic white belt rolls, man.
Epic white belt rolls, yeah. Where you just like, if we were to look back at it now,
flailing all about.
We were like, God, I'm just wasting so much energy. Jeez,
Figuring shit out.
Yeah, this is
learning how to survive. But man, it was so weird, man. You had like long curly red hair, you know,
beautifully
like
robust.
I've seen those
Beautiful.
videos. Those videos from the Vortex with your flying V.
Yeah,
we were both in such different shape. You were like a little more out of shape and soft, and I was like super skinny and stringy. And we've kind of like flopped. Now you're like buff and shit. And now I'm like fat.
Yeah.
So it's weird how it's come along. But something about it really stuck with you. I took a long break, but in those years since I was taking that break, it's really transformed me. I was just gonna see like, what about jiu-jitsu do you like love, and what about jiu-jitsu really transformed how you operate in a day to day?
Man, yeah, that's kind of like,
It's a big question.
what is it life? No, that's man, I think it's addictive to all the people that you see, you know, that are just like mat rats, you know, they're just there all the time, you know, no matter what, like shitty day, good day, whatever, doesn't matter, they're just there. I think that's what they all have. I think jiu-jitsu is like a catalyst. You know, it's something to propel you into a better way of life. So for some people, that's all they do. You know, some guys are so content just training that they'll work whatever job just as they can keep training. You know,
be like a convenience store clerk or something.
Yeah. They'll do it, and if that's their bag, you know, that's fine. Some people, they just draw their, you know, motivation from it, and I think that's the most important, I guess, for any martial art, jiu-jitsu, or, you know, hopefully whatever martial art you choose to pursue.
Yeah, is that what kept you doing it, was the challenge of it?
Yeah, always getting humbled. Like you might have a badass day, and then you go in, you just get caught by some stupid stuff.
What
just so mad.
What got you started? Like, why did you start doing?
I had kind of watched some of the old UFC stuff and even the modern stuff at the time.
You said it was like 2010 or so?
Yeah.
Somewhere, yeah. I think so.
And that was whenever UFC was just really starting to hit, right?
Yeah, I mean, it had been around a while already, but I guess commercially, it was starting to come up. Yeah. And I had a friend, CJ, Sergeant Rose. He was training at TPC, and he said, "Hey, man, just, you know, come to class. You'll like it." So I came in, and he was supposed to meet me there. He wasn't there. I walked in.
I was there, though.
Which is funny, because Jason said I smelled like cigarettes when I walked in, but I had already quit smoking cigarettes by that time, and I thought I was healthy and shit, you know.
You were still sweating it out.
Probably yeah.
What it was, you know?
Yeah. I just looked like I just smoked a pack of cigarettes before I walked in there.
Oh man!
So you quit smoking before you started doing jiu-jitsu. Is like this whole like as long as I've known you, you've always had this like drive for health and being fit and those kind of things. And I don't know if did you have that before you started doing jiu-jitsu, or was it?
It was there a little bit.
Yeah.
But it started progressing when I hit around 26, 27 in general. Just trying to live healthier, you know, before I started training. But yeah, eventually it led into me walking in the academy. And
so what was it about jiu-jitsu that just, I mean, you're pretty rampant about it. Like, so like what, I mean, you know, what was it about it that just like hooked into you? Was it just pretty much everything that everybody already knows, you know, like it's discipline, it's
it's kind of one of those things that's hard to explain, but I guess in general, maybe some people, you know, they walk in the door and they're just straight and motivated from the start. Like, this is what I'm doing. Boom. You know, for me, it was just a curiosity walking in there, you know, not really knowing, and then went to one class. And I've just always kind of been the type of person that, you know, if I decide I'm going to try something, I'll try it, actually try it. You know, so, you know, I went to a few classes and I, you know, was really, really sore. Really.
Yeah, I remember the first week. The first week I went in there, it was a takedown week.
That was me too. First class.
Yeah. So
First class.
And after that first class, man, I didn't walk right for a whole week.
So y'all met at the first class, both of y'all's first class.
Well, no, he had already been training.
I think I'd been training there for. So a little timeline. I had been. I think I'd probably been training there for, like maybe a month to like 6 weeks before Trevor got there. Enough to where I knew like 2 things tops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like to where I was like, I'll teach you a little bit. You know?
Right. Yeah.
And when he first came in, we would roll, and you know, I was like, oh, cool, this guy's like somewhat my size, my height. Let me grab him so we can have really well matched stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we became fast friends, and he quickly started to pull one on me. But
No,
then,
we were
pretty even. We were even for a while.
You just
time.
left.
Yeah, I walked out.
I think y'all both had the same kind of mindset.
Yeah.
I walked out like a bitch, man. Well, actually, it was,
Well, no, you stopped for like a while, right?
yeah, I had.
Yeah, you were gone for a while.
I had a 6-year break with a few like
Was it that
it was like that long, but with a few little interludes in between. I would come back every now and then.
right, little spurts.
Man,
here and
I've
there.
started my jitsu career like 3 times already. So
Yeah, you started it, and those were like my interludes where you were nervous and everything.
I mean,
was
dude,
like,
I'll take credit for getting you back into it. You know,
honestly, you are the reason why. You're the reason why I did go back in it. You wanted to go
the
back
most
in.
recent time. Yeah.
You were nervous. I was like, I mean, I'll go in with you. I went and asked Jason. I was like, hey man, is it cool if I come in here and roll my bro and show him
Yeah.
it works? He was like, yeah man, no problem. And then I was like, I got to get back in here. I felt like even just being away, just thinking about it and mulling it over in my brain for 6 years, I felt like I was better than I used to be. I had longer.
Well, I mean, how
attention span.
long was it from that time till you got your blue belt?
Yeah, I'm a blue belt now. It's
So it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't too long after that you got it. So I guess you maintained.
Yeah,
it
it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird how stuff like that works. Where like when I left, I don't feel like I was anywhere near where I was when I came back, and I had not even trained in the middle. It's almost like sometimes when you take a long break from playing the guitar and you pick it up and you know new things. By osmosis.
Yeah, it happens in a lot of different.
It's kind of like
It's also
that.
probably a testament to how much you were thinking about it.
Yeah,
while
probably
you
so
weren't
too.
training, because you did it long enough to where it becomes a part of your brain.
It really does.
How
yeah.
you're just like, you can be driving around, you
Well,
could be.
there's also
doing
maturing
whatever,
too.
and you're just thinking about technique.
I mean, you kind of reach a different state of like your life as well. When you're in your 20s, once you hit your late 20s, there's kind of a change of thinking that probably is pretty beneficial to that kind of thing.
Yeah,
You calm down a little bit. You can
my
become more
attention
like
span really
absolutely
more
expanded.
even.
Right. Yeah. When I
Yeah.
remember when I was first in there.
You probably understand things a little better now, huh?
Yeah, I understand things a little better, and I can just focus on the lessons. When I was young and I was in there, I was so scatterbrained. During the lesson, I would be thinking about 50 different things.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
during instruction, I'd be thinking about like mostly probably like how to get laid or something while they're in instruction. So I was like super distracted.
Yeah.
But then
And,
you start learning more and more stuff, more and more techniques, and then it starts becoming more, when he's explaining, when your instructor's explaining just a setup to a basic submission, a triangle or something. But you understand that there's so many different angles and layers to whatever they're saying.
Yeah,
And way past just the
absolutely.
words that he's putting out there. There's all the
Absolutely,
different
yeah.
possibilities.
Well, no,
right?
what y'all said earlier about how y'all were just flailing around white belts,
Right.
like, I completely understand that because like that's kind of the thing that always held me back whenever I go to a class is because like I would know a little bit from what I've read or what I've picked up from listening to podcasts or whatever, but like I would still just be like, what the fuck am I doing? And that worry about like not necessarily like looking stupid, but just like doing something wrong is like one of the things that always like kind of fucked me up.
Yeah, and that's what's great about it.
Yeah.
That's what's beautiful about it.
Well,
is
no,
that
it's humbling.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about it. It's beyond how I've always looked at it. Is it's beyond just the physical aspects or anything, but there's a big mental aspect, not just of learning the techniques, but it's also like humbling of knowing that you don't know shit.
Right.
Kind of knocks everybody down to like a base level.
Yeah. There's so many good, so many good aspects you get from it.
I try to tell people, man. I know I sound like a commercial for jiu-jitsu.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah, we always do.
We're preaching the gospel.
Yeah, but it really is.
We might as well have a book.
It's transformative. It really is. It's life changing. That's why I try to get you. I try to get Zach in there for a while.
I'm gonna do it one day. I don't know what stuff.
Yeah.
It's like it's like I know that if I get into it and I follow through and I do it, I know it will make my life so much better. But I keep I don't know.
That's why
right?
That's why I got. Look, man.
Right? I got hang-ups, man.
That means you just got to go.
I know, dude. I know. Well, I was thinking about it. It was like because
preaching the gospel.
Because we were talking, and we were talking about people to bring on, and he was like, "I want to bring Trevor on." And it's like Trevor can come on like the one of the first ones, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome." And I was thinking about it, I was like, "Oh, we're going to talk about jitsu," and they're both going to like bust my chops for not going to class.
Hey, let me tell you something. I have Kevin in there now, and he's going. So
yeah,
you literally have nothing.
You said he was slacking though.
No, he came Tuesday. So
yeah, he did.
Yeah, he came
to class Tuesday.
He's coming. He doesn't even have a car, and he's coming. So
wow,
shots fired.
Yeah,
shots
ouch.
fired. The reason why it's so important, and I wanted to get Trevor in there because I do believe in the transformative power.
Well, no, we were talking about that the other day, is because like I didn't know that he was going, but I'd been noticing. You can see your friends of yours, right? You can see their posts. You have your friends that post a lot or whatever, and you can usually kind of tell, not their mindset, but you can usually tell kind of where they're at through how they're posting, what they're posting about, what their activity is. Around that same time, I didn't know he was in there, but like he seemed so much happier and so much more positive. And then he told me that he's been going for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I was like, I kind of think there's a connection there.
Yeah.
Because the few times that I've gone in there and done like a good session, I come out of those classes just like my head is clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's a state that you come out of there with.
Yeah, the outside world doesn't exist.
Right,
when you're in there. It's like it doesn't everything, the bills, the everything, it's gone. And there's only I think a certain amount of things you can find in life that'll do that for you. For some people, it's jumping out of a plane. For some people, it's who knows. Talking about somebody that's usually maybe it could be anybody that's usually sad or depressed or whatever. You start throwing them in that environment, and I think it just starts filling up that space in your head where you're driving around throughout the day, or sitting at home being depressed and sad and all this stuff. It just immediately starts filling that space in your brain to where like you're not thinking about that anymore. You're thinking about
thinking
this
about
cool thing I learned. that I can expand on.
The thing I think that separates jitsu and most martial arts from like just working out is that like if you get somebody to just like if they're trying to clear their head or whatever and you tell them to go run, work out or whatever, like they choose their output or they choose how hard they work. With jiu-jitsu, you don't get to choose how hard you work. It's whoever you're going up against. Yeah. So you it's almost like you get forced to work harder than you normally would. Right. And maybe that's and
it's really for some guys, they can go in there and go light, and some guys can want to go heavy all the time. But some guys, just flow with it. I think mainly it's filling that void. You go work out, you go for a run. Your head's clear while you're doing it. You get done, you feel good for a while afterwards. Right? Same thing with a workout. But all in that time, in between that and the next workout, it kind of dwindles away a little bit. Still helps. I think everybody should exercise. But the thing about the martial arts, the jiu-jitsu, is that I think it gives you even more stuff to feel good about and to fill that void in between your exercising and your throughout the day complications and everything.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with it. It's more than just something that you discipline yourself with. It's also physically good for you in the fact that it helps regulate your endocrine system. It really like gets you more hormonally right in your body to exercise or to perform one of these sports. Yeah, and it does fill these voids where if you weren't doing one of these activities, you would have more time to focus on negative things instead of positive things.
Exactly.
And whenever you put your body through stresses, and I really believe that us human beings are, as an organism, we're not living like we're designed. Our world is so cushy and like wrapped in Nerf, and everything's so safe. We're not running from bears anymore or cheetahs or climbing through trees. And I think our body really... It goes into panic mode whenever we don't have these obstacles or these hurdles in our life. So we have to, our mind forces us to make some up. And if it's not something physical, then we will land on other things to be our anxieties. Relationships will be our anxieties, or just nothing. Like you just make stuff up. So the
So you start caring about other people's anxiety, other people's dramas.
You'll adopt something, right, to actually become your problems. I don't know. It's amazing. It does. It transforms you. Like look at you, right? Like we were talking about when we first met, how different we were physically. Everything else too, emotionally, everything. Your whole world was music when I first met you, right? And now you're a lot more of a balanced individual. For a living now, you're a personal trainer and a self-defense instructor, and you're just more of a well-rounded individual. I just think it's super powerful, and I can't talk enough about it. I don't want to sit here and talk about jiu-jitsu like forever, but
I appreciate it. And for me, it is a big improvement from where I was. I think that's why we always come across as being so preachy.
Yeah, we do sound
once you've seen the grass on the other side, you want other people. If you're a nice person, you want other people to see it too, and you want them to experience it. And whether it's jiu-jitsu or skydiving or figuring out other things you're good at in life,
swimming with sharks.
I don't put jiu-jitsu with those things because I was watching. Have y'all been seeing that video of those crazy motherfuckers in the squirrel suits and they landed in the plane?
What?
The flying.
Well, they did the flying thing, and they had this little prop plane, and they had they had the door open on it, and they put a bunch of padding in it, and they were flying in the squirrel suits.
They synced up with the plane, and
they jumped off the cliff, and the plane came down, and they synced up, and they went into the plane.
These must be like the Red Bull Flyer.
Well, yeah, no, it was a Red Bull team, but like I was sitting there, I had saw it before. Well,
mathematical equation was necessary.
Well, the opening clip to the whole video was one of them like hitting the side and flipping down and having to pull his parachute or whatever. But like the thing that I was wondering the second or third time I saw it come up in my feed, I wonder what these guys are like. Like, because I can hang out with some jiu-jitsu guys and we have a good time, but like what kind of person jumps off a goddamn cliff and goes flying through the air and wants to land? Like what? Like that guy can't just hang out at the house and drink some beers and watch the game or something.
Right?
Like they have to be like
extreme.
Dude, I really want to. I would love to meet somebody who does that because like they.
Or maybe they're not. Maybe they're sitting at home, reading Hamlet.
Yeah, because that would. I mean, dude, doing that one thing would probably get out all my adrenaline for like the rest of my life.
Yeah, they did that. Like I'm solid for 5 years. Like, I'll do some more crazy shit.
Something else too is the more stressful situations you put yourself in, the less adrenaline affects you. So whenever those guys are jumping off cliffs, their body's not reacting the same way ours would.
Probably not at all.
So they're like, stabilized.
Right. Yeah. So then you can tell them like, okay, so now we're going to jump off a cliff and do a plane.
And that's why there's like this
That's like the same amount of adrenaline as like a bank teller showing up to work late or something,
Yeah.
Like just that little spike of what's going to happen. They're going to yell at me? Like that's what their adrenaline is. It's like just a little tiny little... whenever I was researching, you ever heard of microdosing?
Yeah.
We probably talked about it. Whenever I was researching it, that was one of the examples they brought up, is that a lot of extreme sports athletes do that. And there's a lot of studies that they're doing now with MAPS and a couple other organizations. The why they take it is because what they've found, I don't know the exact study, but essentially what they found is that whenever you microdose, or whenever you probably not whenever you take like a full blown dose, but whenever you take psychedelics, whether it's LSD or mushrooms, your reaction time is reduced to almost nothing. And they did a study over. I need to look it up so I can not sound like I'm just bullshitting. But like they did a study and your reaction time almost disappears.
My reaction time's horrible.
Yeah.
Barnhill spilling beers over here.
No, it's cider, man.
It's cider, bro.
It's just light beers. We got Michelob and we got cider. So like the psychedelics slow it down. So like a lot of those guys that do like the wingsuit stuff and the crazy parachute, they say, like, I don't know if the Red Bull team is all dropping doses before they go, but it would make sense. It would. I mean,
You're saying that they want more of the feeling more of the time.
Well, not just they want it, but if it benefits them, what's the harm?
You mean? Oh, okay. So what was the benefit again?
The benefit is near zero reaction time.
Zero reaction time.
Yeah.
Okay. So they want to work on zero reaction time?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is those athletes, they say that those athletes take microdoses.
Yeah.
because that's the benefit you get from it. That's what they do to your brain. Like they put you in a space, like your reaction, like you can react to whatever's happening, like almost instantly. And like you definitely need to do that if you're flying 1,000 feet in the air with a wingsuit.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I wonder how many of those dudes. So I think, is there a problem with microdosing too much? I'm not saying that like, these guys are doing it. I'm just saying.
Well, there's no. I've read a lot into it.
It's relatively new, the concept, right?
The concept of it isn't that new, but like the fact that they're doing studies over it, and what's been happening is because obviously it's not like a legal thing that you can get grants to research yet.
Yeah,
they're working on that. They do have some studies. MAPS is doing. I think they're working on phase 2 or phase 3 of MDMA therapy for PTSD, and that's moving forward pretty quickly. But like as far as like psychedelics, there's one doctor, and I actually hit him up and he sent me an email back, who has like a what do they call it? Whenever you have like a guideline for something, he has like a protocol, and it's like basically his suggestion for the protocol for microdosing is to figure out your dosage. It's a subperceptual dose, so it's below the level of tripping. There are no physical side effects of taking mushrooms, right? Like it does no harm to you. Mm-hmm. So the only thing that'll happen if you take it like every single day is that it'll just be less effective. Right. So what they suggest is
I'm sure there's an LD50 to mushrooms. There's an LD50 to everything.
Well, no, of course, right. But like that, the LD50 is for like a one-time dose. I'm talking about like over time. If you take a quarter of a gram, if that's your subperceptual dose, like a gram is like a little bit of a trip. 3 grams is like a standard. Then I think like 5 to 7 is like the heroic dose. Ego death.
You're going far.
You're going somewhere, yeah. But like I'm talking about like just a subperceptual dose. Like you feel just a little flutter in the tummy. You don't see things. Like you can operate. It's like drinking coffee, but it'll be less effective if you do it every single day. So they suggest to do it every second to third day. Take little breaks because the effects last past that, like what it does to your head. There's a lot of things that are changing in regard to those kind of things, actually.
I don't know if I want to do it like every other day, though.
Yeah, it seems...
So, well, I guess that's with anything, everything in moderation. Like, I don't want to...
Even moderation, right?
Like, I like to be clear-headed for a while, sometimes.
Yeah, there's...
Like, just not, chill.
There's a thing about it. So when I grew up, my mom was like a pharmacist technician, right? And her motto, she really subscribed to the better living through chemistry. You know what I mean? Like, there's a medicine for everything.
Sure.
Now, when I'm an adult, I hate medication. I rail against it. I'm sick right now. I don't take Tylenol. I don't take.
Dude, I went to the Doctor's Express. I had some kind of like chest cold or something. And I told him we're going to give you antibiotics. And I was like, I don't want antibiotics.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to take that. And he acted like I was being silly.
Well, where I was going with that is like. So I rail against it. The thing about mushrooms or anything, some people choose to think that mushrooms and these things are drugs, right? But everything that affects your body or your mind is a drug.
Yeah, sure.
So the more proper way to think about these things are medicine, are drugs. Cocaine is medicine. Heroin wasn't. All of these things used to be a medicine. And the thing about microdosing, I could see myself doing it to gain an effect or a benefit one time. But doing it every other day would mean that you're dependent on it. It would be like taking an SSRI, or it would be like in my mind it would be like it'd be like having a prescription, and that it just turns me off so much.
Well, no, the one thing about the protocol is it's only for like a month. It's not something that you do forever.
It's treatment.
It's
treatment.
Kind of a treatment.
Well, for PTSD and stuff.
Yeah, well, you use it to focus on things. Whenever I did it, I focused on. At the time, I was having like I guess problems with like insecurity and jealousy, and I used to focus on that, and it actually helped me fix some of those issues. Like I found it, but not dependent on it. Like you can quit it and not die, unlike some of the drugs that they're taking.
Right. Hey man, the last time I took any kind of pills was 8-9 years ago. Had a root canal done. He gave me some Valium, I think. Took him for a week.
That's dangerous stuff.
Yeah, I took it for just 1 week, and man, like. The come down I felt, because I never take pills, but the come down I felt off that 1 week, like this, it didn't take it long for this to affect my body in a way of like, as soon as I stopped taking it, I just felt like shit.
Just felt like trash.
Yeah. This is 1 week. So I can imagine that, thinking about somebody that's been addicted to some kind of pill for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, years.
Yeah, it totally changes your body. Now, is that something that you have to, so you're a personal trainer, right? You're a personal trainer, you work at the health and wellness, and you have a lot of clients. And is that something you have to worry about with your clients? Are you like
do you come across people that you know or take some of these drugs?
No. I mean, in terms of, the only thing they need to tell me about is basic stuff. I'm not a doctor. So I can't diagnose or do anything like that anyway. But they have to tell me,
you're a health coach.
If I'm elevating somebody's heart rate, they need to be able to tell me if they're on blood thinners or, something like that, But I'm not like low key, like, hey, bro, are you, well, plus too, like,
well, no, I meant more like, can you tell that they're like,
are you asking if they're on steroids?
Kind of spaced out or something? No, like any kind of drugs.
Well, we're talking about gym, so I was like,
yeah.
Well,
the thing about your gym is it's not like a pro gym. Where you work is a very diverse place where there's there's actually probably mostly old people, but there's a lot of doctors in there. There's nurses in there. There's young people, old people out of shape. I know you have one client that's very, very, very heavy.
I did. I've had a few.
Yeah, and that
were like that.
Man, I love hearing about those stories when you talk about those guys.
I mean, some people, they stick around. You get to really help them out. Some people, because I'm only there for 30 minutes or an hour, so you just hope you can try and get them into that addictive mindset of exercise for the people that really, really, really need it. Sometimes it works out. Sometimes it doesn't. Hopefully, you can keep them around. But yeah, it's something that I enjoy doing. There's a lot of people at the gym. It's just social for them. They show up and just kind of want to. And that's at any gym.
Yeah, they show up and talk and spend like 6 minutes talking between sets. Right, and not really hitting it hard. Yeah,
but there's still a lot of people in there that are like, when they show up to work out, they show up to work out.
Are you a subscriber in the 5 times to habit theory? Right, talking about some of your bigger clients, and some of them give
5 weeks, right?
I think it's just more like 5 times to form a habit.
It can't be 5 times. It's got to be. I'm pretty sure it's 5 weeks.
Well, maybe it's 5 weeks. I don't know.
I've read stuff where it's like 3 months to 5 months, to where it takes to, like, if you can repetitively, like, every day do something for 3 months to 5 months, it's gonna stick in your brain. But I'm sure there's several different.
I was just wondering if you've noticed a pattern or a habit, because there's probably a lot of people I know that really struggle with motivation, because motivation is a really complex thing. Yeah. Right, it's dependent on you as a person and your environment and all that. I was just wondering if maybe you see anything with your clients about who stays and who leaves or who gives up, and how they might be motivated or stay motivated.
What all of my clients do have in common, the ones that are there, every week, all of them are hardworking, successful people. I say successful. I'm not talking about they're all like millionaires or anything. I'm just talking about they
personally successful.
Yeah, they're motivated. They're driven. They got their shit together.
They set goals and try to accomplish.
There's definitely a trend amongst people that choose to get a personal trainer and stick with them.
Yeah,
or just have a gym membership and stick with it and go. I mean, there's definitely a trait to that. Most of those people, they're all definitely doing better than what they would be if they weren't in there. Yeah, especially those people you see at 5 a.m. in the gym. 5 a.m, those people walking in there every day. Not too many of those are, people just,
Not too many are slouchers, right?
Yeah, they're not slouching, man. They're motivated people.
Right. Mm-hmm. See, I don't know.
So that's that. If you're asking about a trait, they're all, typically they have decent jobs. They're motivated. They got things to do, goals, ambitions, things to work towards. That's a common trait.
Yeah, that's something I find myself curiously wondering about a lot of time, is the link between motivation and, like, is motivation a trait? Does it depend on a sequence of DNA? Or and there's a middle ground in there. You could take a couple of people and take a snapshot and be like, all right, this guy's my client. He's very motivated. He's at 4:45 a.m. every day, but he's also a surgeon, so it makes sense that he lives in a much more disciplined fashion. But there's a lot of angles of attack when you're talking about people's health or people's life in general, and that's just a weird, sort of complicated thing. Thinking about motivation.
Yeah, I think. Well, what's motivation? Motivation is how much you fear the future, right?
I guess
consequence,
so, yeah. Right? Consequence.
If you're fearful of consequence, the consequence of your own actions, and how good is my quality of life going to be down the road? Then most of those people are in the gym. to think about that type of stuff.
So maybe motivation is just an extension of being able to think clearly. Maybe that's what it is, being focused.
Make logical decisions.
Yeah. Being able to have the foresight to go, if I do A and B, I'll get to C instead of,
No, I'm going to have 8 kids when I'm 16.
Right. So you're saying in your experience,
the age wasn't a good one, but
that's kind of weird. That's some North Silsby stuff. That's some North Silsby stuff. But so in your experience, and you've seen a lot of individuals and stuff, you think that motivation kind of applies universally. So if a person strives to be successful, they'll be successful at more things.
Absolutely. The more motivated you are in one area, other areas of life will pay off. That's how I feel. If you find what you're good at and you really work your ass off at it, I truly believe that other areas of life will work out. And that's because we live here. We live in this place. We live in the United States. You can still, if you want to work your ass off, go to college, you might get your ass in debt. But
sure.
Guess what? You can still do it.
So it's kind of universal. You try harder at one thing, and by default, you will try harder at all the other subsequent things.
Sure. And I think it just opens up doors.
But trying harder?
Yeah.
I believe that
just
too.
Hard work, man. Nobody wants to get off their ass every day and go do the same freaking thing. Right. But I think as long as you set goals and different challenges for yourself and try and follow through with them, it doesn't matter what you are or what you're doing. Your life will be better.
Whose fault do you think it is that people don't know how to do that naturally?
Ooh, that's good.
Ooh, naturally, that they just naturally are.
Well, I mean, because that's what you asked is like, is this something that people have genetically, or is it something that they learn? And I do think that discipline is something you can learn, and like motivation, all those things is something you can learn. Is that a product of your environment? I mean, I know some people it's innate. Like some people, they just like that. But like, what about the people who aren't? Like, is it their fault that they're not doing well? Or
well, I like to think that they just haven't been exposed to the other side, as it were. you know, like I think that a lot of people are just because it's easy. Sit around and not do anything. And,
it's definitely it's definitely easy in our society.
Yeah, if you're getting by and you're paying bills and you're doing what you need to do to be a responsible citizen and raise your kids or whatever the case may be,
the bar's real low. In our existence.
Yeah,
well, because we don't really.
It's real low, but it's real high because we're fortunate enough to be here.
We're super. Yeah, we're super. Well, that's the thing. Is like, you can make a. Well, maybe not conscious choice, but you can make the choice to not do shit with your life, and you don't have to worry about getting.
And you still survive.
You don't have to worry about survive.
You don't have to. You don't have to worry about getting eaten or whatever would happen in any other country. So
sure, that's definitely ruined a lot of people because I mean, how many people go through life and never even like if you're. I hate to say it, but if you're spending a significant amount of your time in your life just watching TV. You might want to think about that.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe if you're just sitting fat and you're already good to go, then do whatever you got to do.
I don't even think you should feel bad about saying that, especially if it's. I mean, because you probably know people that do that.
I think we all know people.
We all know people.
Yeah, but you're in a unique place to say that because it's your job to say that, right?
Yeah, get off your ass.
Yeah, it's your job to know.
Get motivated.
It's your job to know how people work. It's your job to know how to properly motivate somebody, right? These are things that you spend more, and that's why I'm asking you stuff like this, is because you spend more time contemplating this than anybody else.
Or at least dealing with it firsthand.
Right. Yeah. And we have a lot of conversations, you and I, about these type of things. You know, we talk about a lot of stuff. We talk about motivation and how it applies, like in economic theory, you know, and everything, and personal success, right?
Yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, I still think that no matter who you are or where you come from, if you really buckle down and you really want to do it, like we still can do that in this country.
Well, that's kind of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're just kind of screwing around. But
Well, we are kind of screwing around, but it's like this. Maybe not buckling down is even a good thing. But
we're still doing something we don't have to, right?
Yeah. I mean that's it. You know, it's like do something with. You only have one life. You know, try to do something with it. So all that you just said, I'm guessing you're still a libertarian.
Yeah, I would say mostly if I have to define myself politically.
Have you bent the rules on? Because you used to be pretty. I remember a couple of years ago, you were pretty.
Like in
You were a
2012?
Yeah, you were a hardcore.
Ron Paul 2012.
Hashtag God King.
No regulations.
Ron Paul
Nothing.
2020.
Yeah,
Come on,
dude.
Ron.
Have you changed?
Run.
Have
Well,
you
no, I never was like no regular. I mean, I think you gotta have some stuff. I'm not like an anarchist.
You're not a militant liberal or libertarian.
No. I think for the most part, basically, just leave people the hell alone and let them compete with each other and not let's just see what happens, so to speak. But I mean, you have to have some structure there, of course. I just think the states can take care of that.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I find hilarious too is, I'm not going to say the libertarian point of view, but a lot of times there's a really super conservative point of view where it's like, I don't know why I've heard this so much, but I've heard a lot of Republican senators say, the states are our laboratories. You know what I mean? We have 50 experiments going on in this country. Let's let the states figure it out, right? And it's really funny whenever something bad happens on state legislation, they really try to distance themselves from that. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
And whenever it...
Well, they want to make themselves look good, so you get more funding for more programs.
Right. And it's like whenever something that's not like in line with their platform, let's say marijuana law, right?
Right.
So marijuana law is not on the conservative agenda. That's a air quote like liberal thing. But their previous statement is in line with that, and they refuse it. They're like, well, let's let the states be the laboratories. The states can govern themselves, but then
they want to try to do everything they can to stop it.
But whenever Colorado, whenever Washington, whenever California legalized weed, then they try to use the federal powers to stop that. And I'm not dogging on Republicans. I dog on Democrats too.
Well, there's hypocrisy across the board.
I just hate hypocrisy.
That's kind of honestly, that's kind of the era that we're in as far as politics goes. Like I don't know. What's your view on
with marijuana? Like, it's a big cash cow. If you're in the government, looking for ways to get more money into the government system, you want to maintain whatever cash cow you have, or how many people are put in jail because of nonviolent offenses, and just weed. How many people are in jail just because of marijuana? I don't know, but I know it's a lot.
Knows, man.
It's a lot.
I don't know if it's the case, but I'm thinking the thing that's kind of happening right now is that the conservative types are kind of torn right now, most likely. It's because, for one, as far as states' rights and things like that, marijuana kind of lines right up with everything that they talk about in their agenda. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe what's happening is what they're scared of is that a lot of their voters come from those older religious types, and if they took a stand for marijuana, then that might screw it up with their evangelical Christian voters.
Well, here, let me interject real quick. This is one of the funniest statistics I've ever found out. So apparently, there's a publication, an old people publication, or a periodical, I should say. It's just called.
That's the actual name of it.
Old people publication.
It's a magazine called Grand, right? And it's a magazine for grandparents.
Grand old days.
No way.
No, it's just called
Grand.
It's called Grand. It's a magazine for grandparents.
God damn.
But they did a poll, an internal poll. They're like, "Are you for or against marijuana legalization?" And 85% of these people were for it. You know what I mean? It's like it's really easy to say that older people have more Christian sensibilities, but one thing you got to remember is old people are cool as shit. They don't care. They've lived a really long life, and at the end of the day, a lot of them know what's important and know what's not important, and they know that, hey, smoking weed, it makes my arthritis feel better, right? And it doesn't hurt anybody. And they come to these realizations.
But no, you're right.
Maybe in our area of the world, it's not true. I think we might be the outliers in this situation.
You're talking about, so you're basically saying that you would imagine that most conservative old people would be against the legalization of marijuana. I think
no, I'm saying the opposite.
Or you would think that they would be against it, right? No,
I'm saying that in my practical view, based on that poll and other things too, just knowing a lot of my generation's parents. You know what I mean? I think a lot of my generation's parents are semi-regular marijuana.
No, we're totally outliers, because I don't think any of us came from super hardcore Christian families.
I think they're the outliers, but that's my point. It's kind of ironic.
The older Christian religious people are the outliers.
I think it's ironic. It might just be that generation is trying to put up a front to each other that they're against it, or maybe it's that generation. The people that are the loudest are the ones that think that there's something wrong with marijuana. But I think in my practical experience, those generations ahead of us, I think that most of them are super down for legalization of marijuana. My dad's 64. He's super down. Yeah. Everyone's parents I know
Yeah, well, I think that number's definitely higher. The number of seniors that are for legalization is definitely higher now than it would be 40, 50 years ago.
Well, it's like what I've been seeing is that it's like the more information that gets out there and the more we find out about how these movements get started, whether it's a movement against marijuana or against welfare or any of these things, we find out the story behind it, why they went on this tirade, the examples they used, and why it was false. The more we find out these information, the more you see people that are older who are still holding on to that reefer madness idea.
Right.
But it's like, it's almost like we look at them like it's kind of silly because like we know that what they're believing is based on hype from a different time that we know is wrong, but like they still won't accept that, you know. That's
well, I think there's more and more people that are kind of coming around to common sense with that. It's almost like you get to just be completely contradicting in life anyway and get away with it. I mean, hell, our politicians do it. What's the big deal?
Yeah, see, that's the thing too, Trevor. We talk about politics a lot, and I feel like we're really in line in a lot of libertarian ways. And whenever Zach asked you, are you still like hardcore libertarian? And your answer is a lot more nuanced now. But that is like one way that you and I are still super libertarian, is that I think we're on the same page where we just don't think that drugs should be like a criminal thing at all. To take a drug as an individual should never be a criminal offense.
No. Now, if you take a drug and hurt somebody, obviously that's different.
That's different. Well, but the crime then is hurting them.
Yeah,
it's not taking. It's not
the drug.
Right.
But the drugs cause it. Don't you know that as soon as you do a drug, any drug, you'll want to kill people?
Listen, that's why I don't inject the marijuanas.
Yeah,
that's why I stay away from that.
Too many tokes.
I know you lose your mind.
No, I think that it's common sense, and anybody that does a little bit of research and a little bit of digging in realizes that drugs aren't illegal to keep you safe. They're illegal because, well, it's a pretty big profit margin.
We fund secret operations with drug sales and things.
Right.
But I mean, the thing is like the drug legalization thing and the hard sell to it is, if we did just make them all legal off the bat, a lot of people are going to die.
No, it's not making them legal. It's making them decriminalized. That's a totally separate thing.
Okay, well, that's different. Like, I'm not saying that the world's going to go crazy or go to shit, but I'm saying that it's kind of like you always say, we need to take the warning labels off these things so we can get rid of the stupid people that joke. Yeah, but that's kind of the thing, is if we made them all legal, they'd probably be less dangerous in like a regulated form than they are now.
Oh.
But you would have so many people who would just go overboard with it. You know?
No, there's evidence to the contrary. I mean, not in this country, but if you just look around the world.
Like Portugal it's completely legal or something?
No, if you look further back, like Amsterdam used to be the heroin capital of the world, and Holland. It used to be the number one abusive place for heroin in the entire world. There was junkies all over the street. And what they did was they didn't legalize anything. They just decriminalized it. And
they stopped arresting people for it.
It's not that they stopped. There was a twofold thing. So they stopped arresting people for it. But what they did was they just changed the mindset. They stopped making it a criminal activity and started making it a public health thing.
Yeah, mental health thing.
You know, just a public health thing. They were like, you know what? People are getting sick. People are dying. They're only hurting themselves. They're not hurting anyone else. So they took all the money that they were spending on, you know, police enforcement and stuff like that, and just switched it over to like public health services, rehabs basically.
Yeah.
Now there's no junkies on the street in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Amsterdam's like a very clean city. Mm-hmm. You could say that about a lot of stuff, not just drugs, but also like the legalization of prostitution, a lot of that stuff. And the thing is, it's kind of a universal thing. I think that it's better if something is illegal, it's taboo, and if it's taboo, it's like exciting.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, that's what I was going to say, is how much of that actually plays into the whole, you tell me I can't do something, now I want to do it
anyway
mentality. You know, I mean, they've done studies on that. That's a real thing.
Have, yeah.
You tell me I can't do something, I'm going to have a curiosity.
Especially people like us.
Yeah, you know? Right.
You know, when you're a teenager and you're rebellious and everything, and what's more attractive, like something that's totally accepted or something that you can't do.
Right.
Right. And I'm not.
Well, the other side is that if it was decriminalized, you would probably have more examples. If you made it like a mental health thing, you didn't make it like a criminal thing.
Sure.
You would have more examples. You would probably see more people that you know going overboard on things like that, and you would have more examples that would make you, as a kid, go, "I don't want to be like that."
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, I just think that I don't really buy into the whole, if you made it legal, if you make it legal, people are just going to be running around the street smoking crack just because they can. I really don't think that.
Yeah, that's what we were just saying.
I think it might take a few years for our little society to adjust to it.
If it were decriminalized, there would be a spike. I'm not saying that it would all go crazy.
Yeah, no.
There would be an increase.
I think there would be a huge increase in marijuana.
There would probably be.
For sure,
there would be an initial increase.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah.
a bump at the beginning.
But whenever the glitter wore off of it,
Yep.
I think it would
Yeah.
drastically fall below what it ever
Yeah,
was.
of course. Yeah.
And one of the things that a lot of people on, I'm not saying conservatives, but a lot of people on the far right, they're arguing against it because they make really false arguments, like straw man arguments all the time. And they don't really understand what the majority of the country, and when I say that, I mean the majority of the country is for legalization of marijuana, at least.
I think they understand.
Right.
I just think they're in the pockets. They're not.
I
They're
think-
doing what they're told to do.
I think that's absolutely true. But the arguments they use against it are just completely asinine. So what they,
Of course they are.
What they
There's
say
no
is-
logic to it.
So what happens is a regular citizen like you or I, we're like, we should decriminalize drugs. It's not a criminal activity; it's a public health activity, right? What they go is they go, well, if we were to legalize cocaine, then it would be in every corner store. And they completely miss the mark because what we're saying, and I just want to clarify, but what we're saying is we're not for the legalization of dangerous drugs. We're just for the decriminalization.
Right.
Now, does that mean that if you decriminalize it, it's going to be sold in 7-Eleven? Nah, dude. It's still illegal to sell.
Yeah, yeah.
It's still illegal to transport all this stuff. It's just taking it. There's no criminal ends to the means. You can't be thrown
Well,
in
you're
jail.
going to stop locking up the users and
Exactly.
start locking up
Right.
the people that are transporting.
Right,
Those
exactly,
are those
yeah.
are people that are making the most money from
Yeah,
it.
you shift
Right.
the focus.
Like if you want to make it a taxation kind of things, those people aren't paying taxes on their products.
They're definitely not. And
Yeah.
then
Like that's how they got fucking Al Capone, right?
To me, it's
Yeah.
common sense. I think most people, anybody that's actually read about it or knows anything about it, like we were talking about psychedelics earlier, right? Like anybody that knows anything about it knows there is some beneficial factors to psychedelics.
Right.
Like you can't argue about it.
Well,
It's
actually,
been
there's-
proven.
there's-
It's been shown. Like we know this. You know.
It's still not too many people know about.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Most people, it's taboo, or it's most people they don't know anything about it. It's the same with drugs, but decriminalization. We're talking about narrowing down the amount of people in the prison system because you're only busting the dealers as opposed to the people that are using. I think that it makes sense. Why does a kid need to buy heroin? Why does a kid need to buy a crack rock?
Yeah.
Why do kids need to be making meth in their trailers? To
They-
me, it's kind of common sense that it's
it should
it's
be
pretty stupid.
It should be common
Yeah.
sense that any kid, any teenager that's buying hard drugs isn't doing it because they're excited about experimenting. They're doing it because they're
Right.
sad. They're doing it because there's something wrong. I'm not trying to.
Well, I wouldn't say all of them do it because they're sad.
Well, no, I
just
mean,
think
but
that-
but if you remove if
I-
you remove the criminal aspect from it, then that's how people will see them. They won't see them as criminals. They will see
Right.
them as like this person is
But it's
really
not
sad
exactly.
or broken.
They're
Right,
not, it's not because
right.
they're
I get
criminals.
that.
It's because they're trying to. What I'm trying to like get at is they're trying to self medicate. That's the whole thing. Some drugs are party drugs. Like cocaine. Like nobody's trying to self medicate with cocaine. Like a lot of them are just self medication.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get to the root cause of it, when you think about it just realistically, these people don't need to have tickets or fine. These people need to be helped. Right.
Well, it's the difference between taking a drug or any kind of mind-altering thing for an actual experience is to
Yeah.
something to help yourself and expand your mind and all these sorts of things. It's just the difference between doing that and getting fucked up just to get fucked up.
That's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Not all drugs are created equal.
Right.
These are all drugs. These are all medicines. These all have their applications.
Right. Now, is
but-
crack cocaine or meth?
Well, crack is.
Well, we wouldn't have
we're-
meth if cocaine was legal.
It's true.
yeah,
Right.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Them damn rednecks wouldn't have figured it out.
I know. right?
Crack.
Or what's his name?
A lot of smart people in the South. They don't talk that good, but
Yeah, there's no. There's
Well,
they
one-
can figure shit
smart
out.
folks.
One important thing that people also gloss over is that crack is just cocaine.
Right.
Crack isn't different. Like it's treated differently because
Right.
different people use it, right? But it's not different. It's the same, and that's a whole nother conversation. But the way that each one of these drugs are viewed upon,
Well, for the crack thing, like as far as you're talking about maybe discrimination amongst particular drugs.
absolutely.
Well, for the crack thing, those started heavy penalties, just like meth. Meth is the same thing.
The same thing.
Meth has the same penalties as crack cocaine.
Right.
Those were actually started, like crack cocaine was actually started by black judicial lawmakers in black communities
To try to
because
clean up
they
the
were
streets.
Like, fuck
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We're not getting into that.
Yeah.
That's why the penalties are so harsh. Same for
Right.
methamphetamine. So I think that often gets a little misconstrued.
Well, I mean,
when we're
honestly,
talking about,
I'd say like one of the biggest benefits to decriminalization is honestly probably more for minority groups and lower income neighborhoods and things like that. Less so for us.
Well, like I said, to me, it's just common sense. Why do I need a body of government to tell me what I can or can't do with my body? Like, that should be something I figure out on my own. My parents teach me, my community, whatever. You should be able to find people, of some sort to give you some kind of guide. Yeah, there's some people that grow up in really bad neighborhoods, but you know what? That's the very marginal case. We still have educational systems all over the fucking country. So that kind of goes back to my point earlier. I think whether you're white, black, or wherever you come from, if you really want to, you grow up, you see what education is in school. A lot of kids get caught up in the whole society, what society thinks you're supposed to be when you're growing up as a kid, and you're wearing, like me, Ozzy shirts and Metallica shirts, and in middle school, not caring about what do you mean, a career? I don't fucking,
Yeah.
I don't care about that. I think ultimately, at the end of the day, you can still do it. You can still work hard and achieve what you want to achieve. I think not a lot of it, some of it is definitely true. Some people genuinely don't have an opportunity because they're just screwed from the get-go. That's going to be anywhere you go.
Yeah.
Right? And I hope we can figure out how to fix that. But for the most part, I think most people have an opportunity to actually do something and get off their ass and work. I think the marginal case gets used for the whole picture.
Yeah, people like to cherry pick statistics.
Yeah, there's always the extreme and both the media, all of them, the politicians, they all use the extremes. I mean, some people are really concerned about abortion. I get it. Like, I get why you're concerned about abortion.
Yeah.
But is that really as important as all the other shit that's going on in the world? I mean, we got some shit going on, right?
Yeah.
There's some pretty serious problems going on.
I don't know what
the
the
world.
fuck is going on right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
it's crazy. But you're telling me we got to worry about abortions like in the top 5?
No, not at all.
For some people, that is. Some people are really concerned about it. And people are whoever listens to this and gets offended, I'm sorry.
No, we'll have a feedback email set up.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll forward you all the shit posts.
One thing.
I just don't think it's that big of a deal. Yeah, I get it. People get upset about it.
Oh, it's a big deal. Like, not belittling your view on it or anything like that, but like
No, I understand it.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, it's a human rights issue.
Well, it's not just it's like life and all
Sure.
all those things.
But maybe that's the reason that's so big is because it's a symptom, and we need to address the actual problem.
It's definitely a symptom
rather than the symptom.
One of the things that I try to bring up, and it freaks people out, but I bring it up because it's I think it's interesting. You know how we always used to say that like the life expectancy back in the day was 45 or something like that, and the reason that number is like that is infant mortality rates were really high back then, because back then babies didn't just die in the womb or die like from like natural things. Like, they would kill them if they reached tough times and they couldn't feed all these mouths. They would like, there was a time in our species where like up until you've reached like a certain age, you're not valued. Infantry came from the word infant, because infantry were disposable. Infantry are the foot soldiers, the ones you send in. They're the disposable, air quotes. That was how we kind of lived for a very, very long time, and it's just now reached a state to where now we're arguing over when life begins. That's really what needs to decide it. What do we define as life, and when does it start? Yeah,
my whole thing on that is, if you want to get crazy about that issue, fine. But ultimately, I don't think it belongs in a courtroom.
I don't either.
I really don't. I think it's a moral issue that's never going to be decided one way or the other in any kind of judicial atmosphere. I just think
it's a subjective thing, right?
Yeah, it's never going to be one way or the other.
And you're right. People can argue.
I mean, what if we reach a state to where we can actually define what life is?
It's a morally ambiguous.
It's still not you're not going to convince the hardcore religious people.
Well, I know. Well, but that's the reason. That's the reason.
3 months, 1 week, and 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's when the first,
that's why they consider it. That's why they consider it a judicial issue, is because they consider it murder.
Right.
And murder is against the law, and that's kind of where they put it.
And even for me, as I guess more of a libertarian identifying person, like, even for me, at what point does that little creature inside of you start having rights? That,
we're more bacteria than we are us.
Right.
There's more bacteria than we have cells in our body. So it's like,
well, that speaks to the point where you can have the argument to the end of days. There's so many ways that you can approach an argument.
Yeah, I can't go one way or the other on abortion. That's when people ask me about it. I'm like, look, I get why
I can't get pregnant. I don't want to decide.
Yeah.
What I think is more important is, you said this earlier, Trevor, is people are treating it as a symptom.
Yes,
right? It's a symptom. And there's a really easy way to look at all of this stuff that we're talking about. We're talking about drug usage. We're talking about crime. We're talking about like abortion and stuff. All of these things are traced back to one stuff. These are all byproducts of bad economics. There's been a lot of theory that's been proven in a lot of different places about what happens whenever the economic status of an area improves and what happens with the crime, the drug use, like all this stuff. I'm going to throw out some super hardcore stuff real quick, but like when you look at genocide, you look at like the genocide in Rwanda and Darfur, it's because there's super bad economics. It's because there's warlords. It's because there's a disparity between the top and the bottom.
Right.
I'm saying that in a roundabout, these things are symptoms of this. And then crime. If you look back 10 years ago, the most crime-ridden city in all of Europe was in Glasgow, Scotland. And what they did to try to solve the issue is they really brought it down to base. And they're like, what drives crime? Okay, crime happens in the most poverty-stricken area.
Sure.
It's universal. Every country and everywhere.
Right.
Crime happens in the most poverty-stricken area. So they took a police task force, and instead of sending the paddy wagons out and like busting up skulls to try to like fix a problem, which is what most people do, they made like a neighborhood improvement squad from police that would go out and help kids. They would have like community barbecues. They would help people with problems instead of just like busting skulls. And Glasgow went from like being this super crime-ridden city like a splotch in the EU to being like a really nice city that a lot of people
visited. Yeah, I didn't know about that.
Yeah,
I have to look that up.
And people started visiting. They were like, there's castles. Let's go visit Scotland. It's the same here in America. When you think about like meth production use, where does that happen? That happens in the trailer parks.
In poverty,
it happens in poverty. You think about crack use, it happens in poverty, right? When you think about drive-by shootings, that was in Compton in the 80s. So whenever you want to address something that you're not proud of, just think about the base issue. The base issue isn't the crime itself. The base issue is lifestyle. It's bad economics. It's a disparity of wage. It's when somebody is living in a trailer and 3 blocks over somebody's living in a mansion. And,
I think that's a big part of it. I think it's economics and education.
Absolutely.
Because you can't really make the case for
education
economics.
happens with good economics.
It does, but you can't really make the case, I don't think, for economics and education because we have how many children are in school right now and how many kids are just passing with poor and poor.
Sure.
And poor.
Yeah, and not all education.
We're not lacking
equal,
any
right?
kids in the school system.
Right.
We have plenty of money. I mean, there's money there.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
You can make the case and argue for more or less or whatever, but like as far as countries go, we have an educational system. It's just not doing that well.
Do you know what we're ranked in the world ranking according to UN?
What is it, like 13 or something?
We're 37th in education. We're 37th, right? We're the country with the highest GDP in the entire world.
Right.
And we're 37th in education.
Right. That's why I don't think the economics case works for that. I think economics is part of it. I think
too.
that people's desire to learn, be it poor or even wealthy, I think that is dwindling overall, and I think it's probably because we got our heads in the cell phones all day.
We're lacking. We're also lacking innovation in teaching methods, and that's why they're pushing this whole STEM thing.
That's the whole thing. We're not this. Are we lacking innovation?
We're lacking innovation in the education system.
Well, yeah, I think we're lacking the ability to find out. I think China, for all its flaws, I think they have a system where they. Or even Pakistan, one of my clients was telling me, their system is more geared on figuring out what you're good at.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
You mean an aptitude?
That's what I'm saying. Because there's two things happening. Is that the kids that are falling behind aren't getting the attention that they need to get to where they need to be, at least basic minimum, and then the kids who are gifted. Either not brought down, but like they're not being noticed. They're not being given the resources they need to grow.
Well, why do we? If we figure out a kid that's 10 years old is a freaking mathlete, just busting through it, like you already know he's gifted.
Well, no, I'm not.
Why do we need to spend X amount of more years worrying of teaching him? We can teach him a little bit of the other subjects, obviously.
Well, I'm not even talking about the people who are like obviously gifted. I have always felt kind of resentful for the public school system that I grew up in because I felt like I was more intelligent and I had my own things going on, but like I don't feel like that I got the education. I think I could have done better if I had been, I guess, given a little bit more.
Or just given something specific.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like
challenge.
Yeah, and it's that's what I'm saying is like, and I'm not even talking about the ends of each of the spectrum. I'm talking about there's a lot of people in the middle who could be doing a lot better. If they were noticed or if we had some kind of system set up for like
interest and challenge
catering to that,
getting people find out what they're interested in,
because we're trying to say that standardized testing is how we're going to get the scores that make us improve in the world standing, but that's not going to do anything. That's not how humans work.
I mean, you'd think we'd be doing it long enough to where we'd have a system, be it federal or state, whatever. We'd have a system to where when your child goes through the educational system, by the time they're X amount of years old, we figured out, okay, this guy, you're not forcing them to do anything. You're just figuring out what they're passionate, what they're good at. You know? And
it's aptitude, total aptitude.
Yeah, total aptitude, and just let them go. You know, why does it have to be?
Well,
you have to finish this many classes until you graduate.
We don't have the fucking money for it.
Well, no, see,
I don't think it's money. I just think it's
no. I mean, it is money. It's
itself.
because the schools where people are falling behind, the schools that are doing bad, are you got teachers teaching 30, 40 kids at a time, shit like that. There is a money issue there where the teachers are underpaid, overworked, all that stuff. But like it's not just that, but it's also, you know, the system itself is not catering to human needs. Kids, like they're coming out with all these studies now that say that teens and younger kids need 10 hours of sleep a night, and then they add up all the hours of the work they have to do, and it does. You know, we're not catering to our species.
Well, I think it's the fact that kids are less and less in school. A few years ago, I lived right across the street from Westbrook. And like during the school year, I'd be like, man, where are they? What?
Yeah, some of them get off at noon.
Where are all these kids at? Like the parking lot empty. When I was in high school, that parking lot was full of cars.
I don't know.
Now you got to pay kids to want to drive.
I don't think we need more schooling. I think we just need to figure out a better.
That's what
way
I'm
of
saying.
schooling.
It's not the problem. Like the schools are there. It's just figuring out a better way of.
Honestly, I think it would be more realistic in the working world, for one, is to have school all year long with shorter like breaks spaced out. Like that would make more sense, because how are you're going to get out of going to high school for 18 years or 12 years? And
what if you're a 13-year-old genius that doesn't even need to finish any?
Right. I have a specific example of a lot of this stuff, and Zach, I think you're right. A lot of it has to do with money being put into it. But also it's the way that education has changed. And with this whole sort of last 10, 15 minutes we're talking about boils down to is education has been made more generic. It's been made for a one-size-fits-all with all the students.
Cookie cutter.
And it de-incentivizes creativity. It de-incentivizes challenge and innovation based on individual level. And more than just money being put into it, there's been a push to this generic approach. Because even if you look in our area, what there used to be in early to mid 20th century there was things called magnet schools.
Right.
Central is actually a magnet school. It's a medical magnet. Mm-hmm. So it meant if your child was interested in any sort of medical field,
they would have classes for it.
That's where they would go to high school at, and they would have anatomical classes. Mm-hmm. They would have organic chemistry classes. Mm-hmm. All this stuff, and it would prove to be good. But where we've gone in the last 50, 60 years is public education has dropped the ball on that specific realm, and the private sector has had to pick it up. And what's kind of insidious about it...
Have they had to pick it up?
Well, what I'm saying is the insidious thing about it is it seems, and I don't know if I'm going off the rails, but it seems that maybe a hand has been played in a government to fill a void or to make a void for this individual education that the private sector could pick up. Now there's Montessori schools.
Well,
there's all these schools, but you have to enter your child into private education instead of public to get that education.
You know what you said, how schools have kind of like reached this common denominator, this kind of thing.
Right, it's a generic.
Generic. You know why they do that is because generic is easy to hire for. It's easy. It's economically viable. It's cheap.
It's easier to do. Yeah.
It's cheap to have a standard across everything, and it's as long as it's a basic standard.
Right, but
but do you think the same people who decide to make it that way are the same people who send their kids to private school too?
That's true. That's why I said
it takes away competition. You can't eliminate any type of competition or any type of. But what I was going to get at is why the private sector failed in the school industry, and I think
the public sector.
Sorry, the public sector. Yes.
I always think whenever public works fail, it's because they wanted it to fail.
That's what the.
Well, I think the reason the public sector failed is because. The same reason we have shitty politicians. It's all the same that people don't pay attention anymore. People are more complacent in their lives.
I mean, that goes back to it. Shitty politicians would want something to fail.
That's a chicken and egg scenario.
Yeah, it grows into the other.
It's a chicken and egg scenario.
What I'm saying is the lack of interest. Like, I think there's a lot more parents nowadays that are just sending the kid off to school, and they're at school. Okay, I'm going to work, whatever the case may be. I think there's a lot more of those as opposed to parents that are doing the homework with Timmy every day when he comes home.
That's a difficult thing.
Concerned about their their teachers and what
Yeah.
are they learning and what are they, you know.
Well,
I know there's a lot of parents that still are.
That's the thing about us talking about these kind of things is we.
None of us have kids, first of all.
Well,
Let's make
yeah,
that statement,
but
you know.
the other side of
It's
it
easy
is
for
like
us to
whenever
say
you
that,
whenever
but-
you talk about issues like this and you talk about people should get their shit together, things like that. We also probably aren't good examples of. It's basically like I don't really know too many parents who are shitty enough to where they don't care about their kid and they just send them off to school for babysitting and stuff like that.
No.
But there are parents out there, but I am not in those social realms to where I don't think about them too often.
Right.
Or like,
yeah, like I said, this is what I think.
Yeah.
And the reason I think that is because I'm not saying that they don't care about their kids.
Oh, there are some that are just shitty
I know there
people.
are, but
Yeah.
that's a small amount. But
Yeah.
there's a bigger amount of people. That
I mean, how
that-
small is that amount, though? Do we really know?
Well, I don't know, but I know there's a bigger amount.
We assume there's a small amount, but it might be larger than we think.
I know there's a bigger amount of parents that genuinely love and care about their kids, but the way our society is today,
They can't put the time into it, do they?
Yeah, they can't put the time into it to
Right.
actually be there all the time. I know there's
Right.
plenty of them that still do, but I just think that number, just by nature of population, has increased as far as shitty parents. So if you have a lot more undisciplined children going to school that aren't paying attention because they don't have to, they don't suffer any consequences or whatever the
Right.
case may be, I think you're going to have a much worse scenario.
Yeah,
in
that kind of ties it up in a neat little bow. The whole thing. Where earlier when I was asking you about motivation, right, and your experience with motivation as a personal trainer, I was asking what makes motivation, and you kind of summed it up as like it's a reflection of consequence
Or acknowledging the
or
consequence.
acknowledging.
yeah,
Yeah, you said that
acknowledging
the driven people seem to be more aware of their consequences, good or bad, and good actions lead to good results, and lack thereof leads to bad results. And the whole education thing, good and bad, a lot of it might be a lack of consequence. It's so much easier now in life to just skate by, right?
Sure.
For the most part, I've skated by. You know what I mean? Like where I sit now, I've skated by. When I was in school, all the teachers would be like, "You have such potential. Why don't you live up to your potential?" Because they see it is we don't have as much consequence in our life, right?
Right.
It's a strange thing.
It's
but
much more acceptable just to be the guy.
yeah. But I like how
know.
circular that logic is. You know, it's kind of a neat little bow tie on the whole thing. Anyway, we kind of ranted about education for a little while, and I think it's a pretty good time to end it with that circular logic. But it's been really good having you, Trevor.
Yeah, I
It's been
enjoyed
fun,
it, man.
for sure.
I
time.
enjoyed
We'll
it.
do it again.
Yeah, I'll definitely do it again for sure.
Yeah, we kind of plan on having you being a semi-regular person.
Okay.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah. you-
Talk about hot topics.
just it's
Probably mostly jujitsu and fitness.
yeah,
Right.
and
Fucking
politics.
work
and
out, bro.
politics. Yeah.
Just work out.
Yeah, you're a person that that individually can challenge our ideas, and we can challenge your ideas. So it's a fun
No,
conversation.
I think that's the most important thing is to have conversations like this. And I think that's one good thing that podcasts have done in general is encourage people to have conversations and maybe get rid of so much of that.
Well, that was kind of the idea about it. Is
Yeah,
is
get rid of
have
so
these
much of that. If you
conversations.
disagree
Yeah.
with me, we just can't talk to each other.
right.
Type of thing. I think that's kind of helped with the podcast. So yeah, definitely. I'll come back.
All right. Well, on that, I guess this has been a success. We'll see you guys on the next one.